week. Well, hers, because, well, your dog at least went to doggy daycare. She didn't plays with other dogs. But she can't do March, so I'll talk to my friend Ryan. Yeah, right. I say I just go to work. She has to go to. She either goes to doggy daycare. I gotta ask my friend Ryan. I'll just pay her. She's a dog person. Yeah, she's a dog person, but she's cut down. She doesn't. She complains about weekends. And, I don't know. We'll see. But our dog's very competitive. She has a maybe she'll take. But it's expensive. I mean, what you're doing is a nice, very nice thing. She does. Oh, and are you going too? Yeah. Yeah, we're going. She's coming my second week. That's huge. Yeah. Go. Someday we won't be here anymore. It gets nervous if I'm not around. So I said to myself, he's turning this month. God, that's unbelievable. So, I made a commitment, to stay in the country or within reach. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I mean, it's all good. It's just what she was born. I know. Yeah. This is a particular old we're in the same place. But yeah, yeah, it's a summer. I'm in someplace in the west coast. Is it where? Yep. Okay.
Di, we don't get up for we are agenda 100 people here.
I don't think so. I think it's a hymn, but you know what? I'm not like really. I'm out of touch right now because I came in late from work. June, are we just singing the? You guys know we're not getting up for the hymn. We're just singing from our ears. We're getting up for the hymn. I think we're going to get up for that because that's going to be the final hymn, and then we'll go right into our whole. I don't think is that
That's early in the service.
I don't think we will then. No. Unless it's immediately before the Offertory. Ready to do that?
But then I was playing with the ukulele ensemble in our concert, and I do some picking, and I was the only one picking, no one else was picking, but those strings were loud enough to like cut through the noise so you could really hear the picking. So I'm like, all right, so you have options of...
And that's, I imagine, like a steel string guitar, that's harder on your fingers, or...
What is this? Oh, this is, I think it's just yeah, yesterday. And also I've learned that when they're now they have a finish instead of just being like a raw wood, you get a sound that just kind of almost more resonating inside. No idea.
And then everything actually comes down to
Okay, common thread. We should just use this.
let's stand here then. Let's let them know by standing here.
Okay.
Who can whistle? What a fishing hook.
Is this live? As we're gathering, if anyone is looking for information on how to get involved responding to what's happening with ICE in our community, there's a whole table in the narthex. So you could go grab some paper from there. There's different resources and things, or it'll be there after service as well, but just letting you know while we're waiting to start.
You think we should move this way a little bit? Did you guys? Like, then you don't have to worry about the camera. And we're kind of facing that. Now she's gonna trip on the mic.
Yeah, I can
I can't see still.
Good morning, and welcome to South Church. Those of you who braved the weather, and those of you who decided maybe this was not the day to come out and be here in person. So glad to be here with all of you right here in the sanctuary and those of you online. I'm the Reverend Ellen Quaadgras, minister at South Church, serving in co-leadership with Kirsten Hunter, our Director of Lifespan Ministry, who is blessedly back from the West Bank safely and will be part of our worship today. And I'm grateful to be serving in co-ministry with all of you. Grateful to be here in this place where we do minister to each other, even as we seek to help heal our hurting world. Here we witness the news and witness each other as we attempt to hold what this is. And witness, and where we witness what's happening, but don't just stop there. We are a place of courage and also a place of nurture, a place where spirits can refuel and our hearts can take a pause so that we can be more brave as we let our values guide our actions here and everywhere. Welcome to this final Sunday with our theme of resistance as we explore what it looks like to live beautiful and strong in a world that seems intent on trying to make us feel small and powerless. I am very grateful to be here today with Harper Bairstow, our youth worship associate who is wise beyond her years. Grateful to Susan Adams and South Church folk for music to deepen our experience and open our hearts. Grateful to Jen Leiden, who is making this service available beyond our walls, which is particularly important when it's minus whatever degrees we're at right now, and snow is coming. And grateful to Kirsten Hunter, who will offer our time for all ages, after which our young people will head downstairs for religious education. And today is a key day in the life of this congregation as we gather for our annual meeting, which will happen right after the service. We won't be doing coffee hour today because we know the snow is coming and we want to get you on the road before it gets real strong. So we'll come right back here. We'll stay here after service for that. We do have large print hymnals and listening devices available in the back. Please silence your cell phone, and we have a couple of announcements which Kirsten will offer.
Good morning, all. Yes, a few announcements in addition to the annual meeting today. And as I'd mentioned just before we started, there is a table of resources right out in the narthex. We'll have just a few minutes between the worship service and the meeting. If you're looking for ways to get engaged in response to what's happening with ICE in our community, there are lots and lots of different ideas and options there for you. So please visit that table. In your order of service, there's quite a few announcements I invite you to read. One I'd like to lift up is our nominations for Shared Plate are active now. Each month of the year, we have a different recipient of our Shared Plate giving, and we all choose those recipients by nomination and then vote. So if you'd like to nominate an organization, now's the time to do it. If you would like to hear about the journey that I've been on, there are 2 dates where I'll be offering reflections on February 1st and 8th. The times and information about that are in the order of service. And I particularly want to lift up so many of you I'm seeing showing up in our community in all kinds of ways right now as witness, taking action, calling out for justice and constitutional rights. And it is draining on our hearts. There is a workshop on January 31st from 1 to 5:30 here at South Church, being led by 2 remarkable organizers and ministers that I highly recommend. So if you need some nourishment, this is nourishment for those of us who are feeling the weight of this moment and what it's asking of us. and I hope to see many of you there. And the last thing is just related to snow and our annual meeting. The parking ban in town won't start until 10 o'clock tonight, but parking does start being charged for at noon. So keep that in your mind with the annual meeting. Make sure you pay a parking meter if you need to in between service and our start time so that you don't get a ticket. Thanks.
And now we begin our worship. As we begin our worship, we begin by acknowledging that we gather this morning on land that has been home to the Abenaki and Pennacook peoples since before recorded history. We honor their enduring presence, acknowledging the harm done through displacements, broken treaties, and the ongoing impact of colonization. In a time when truth is twisted and cruelty is treated as normal, a land acknowledgement must be not just a script we recite. It must be a practice in clear seeing, a commitment to live with honesty, and to let that honesty shape our relationships, our choices, and our repair. In a world that's so troubling, may this truth-telling help us live more beautiful and more strong together.
When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong.
We light this chalice with words from Reverend Erica Hewitt. We are not alone because of our promises to love one another. We are not alone because we are companions on the journey. We grow ourselves into allies, helping one another get free. Because none of us is truly free until we are all free. Now please rise in body or spirit and join me in reciting the mission statement printed in your order of service. At South Church, we nurture spiritual growth through worship, learning, and community. We celebrate the worth and dignity of all people, and we inspire one another to act on our faith in the larger community. In the darkness and tragedy of our nation's government, I've become restless with fear, disgust, and an intangible sense of dread for our nation's future. And I'm furious with the lack of empathy, human dignity, and intelligence that this administration has exposed to everyone who lives here, whether they know it or not. In the wake of Renee Good's murder, I protested. Right around the corner at Market Square, there were hundreds of people, all there for the same reason. It was a sense of pride and togetherness that I've yet to feel that amplified. One of hundreds, but I was still one of the youngest people there. I made a sign that I was quite proud of, and it said, "Hot people melt ice." And I think I was clever with that one. I've noticed that at school, no one talks about any of this. Students are silenced by teachers and administrators simply to keep the peace. How ironic. I don't have political conversations at school, and I take my guesses as to who supports what and where people stand on certain issues, but no one talks about it. After protesting, I posted a picture on my Instagram story. It was a picture of Amelia Murphy and I holding up our signs and text in the corner that said, "Go protest." After posting it, my phone was blowing up with numbers of people that liked my story. I was absolutely shocked to see the support I was getting. With the lack of political expression at school, I was shocked to see some of the people that liked it. Many people who I had made false assumptions about, football boys, mean girls, shy people, and many in between. It made me feel like I'm not the only one that sees what's happening right now. High school can feel so isolating, and since then I've walked with a sense of pride and knowing that the people who I simply pass in the hallways feel similarly to me. I'm turning 18 in May, along with a new generation of resistance that have and will also turn 18 before the midterm elections. I'm resisting with kindness. I'm resisting with power and meaning behind my words. I'm resisting by keeping my protest sign in the back of my car for people to see, as a reminder that the world is much bigger than myself, and it's bigger than Dover High School. It is my reminder that resistance is always and it is every day. I've thought to myself, maybe we can do this. Maybe I'm not alone in the sea of 1,600 students at my school, and definitely we will overcome. Now please rise and body your spirit for our opening hymn, number 170, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People."
Singing for our lives.
Okay, if there is anyone who would like to hear a story this morning from a little closer up, there's this beautiful floor where all are welcome. I have a story for us this morning that's pretty old, and I would guess a lot of the people in this room have heard of this story before, but maybe not our littlest ones. And it's one of those stories that sticks around because it's got a pretty good message that you come back to again and again in your mind. It's written by someone named Hans Christian Andersen, and it was written in the 1800s, right around the time when this building was built, almost 200 years ago. 200 years. So, once upon a time, there was an emperor. And this emperor was a fairly vain person. He thought a lot about himself and what he wanted and felt like doing, and he was particularly interested in looking special. And one of the ways that he looked special was he paid attention to his clothes and tried to have clothes that no one else had. He tried to be fancier than everyone else and have this kind of unique way of standing out because it made him feel good inside. He didn't spend a lot of time thinking about the way he was leading. He kind of went with impulse and spent most of his energy thinking about what he wanted next. And the people in the town where he ruled, in the country where he ruled, all knew that this emperor was really into his clothes. So many people knew this, in fact, that 2 thieves came into town where his castle was with a plan. They started spreading a rumor around town that they had the ability to weave a magic fabric. It was a fabric that was so spectacular, its colors were so vibrant, its patterns were so intricate that anyone who looked upon this fabric would be stunned. And it was a magic fabric because if you looked at it, but you were someone of small character or weren't suited for your job, you wouldn't be able to see it at all. It would be invisible to you. Only those with very good characters who were good at their jobs could see the fabric. Now, this rumor was spreading all around town, and it didn't take long before the emperor heard about this magic fabric, and guess what? He wanted an outfit made out of it. He thought to himself, this will be great. This will allow me to tell who in my kingdom is of poor character and shouldn't have the job that they have. This will be an excellent plan for me. So he said, find those 2 weavers, that's what they called themselves, and tell them I want an outfit made just for me. And sure enough, they found them pretty easily because the weavers this was their plan all along. And they said, you bet, yes, Emperor, we would be happy to weave you a special outfit. And all we need is some golden thread and some precious silk. And so the emperor had it gathered for them and brought it to them, and they tucked it away into their bags. And then they brought out their looms. Those are machines that weave fabric. And they pretended to thread into the loom and start weaving. Now, there was really nothing in the looms, but everyone had heard that this fabric they made was only visible to those of good character and those who were in the right job, and so no one wanted to say, I don't see anything there, because they thought to themselves, uh-oh, I must not be of the best character. I must not be good at my job. And so everyone just kind of looked along and nodded. And the emperor, who was up in his castle, let's say he lived in a castle, he was curious how the weaving was going. But even the emperor, a little voice in the back of his head, was a little bit afraid to go see the fabric, because what if I can't see it, he thought to himself. So instead of going down to check himself, he sent one of his wiser advisors down to go see what it was like. And the advisor came in and said, I'm here to check on this fabric for the emperor. And the weaver said, yes, isn't it beautiful? It's coming along. And the advisor looked and didn't see a thing and thought to himself, oh no, I must not be a very good character. Maybe I shouldn't have the job that I have. But he just smiled and said, oh yes, it is beautiful. And the weaver said, do you see the red? Do you see the chartreuse? Do you see the teal green? Do you see these diamond patterns and these swirls around the edge? And the advisor said, oh yes. And he thought to himself, remember all these details so I can sound like I was able to see the fabric when I go back to the emperor. And he quickly returned back to the emperor and said, oh, this fabric, it's so beautiful, the colors, the patterns. And he relayed what he learned. And the emperor thought to himself, this is going to be the most spectacular outfits. And after a little while, the outfit was done. And the weavers sent a message to the emperor, and the emperor came down to their area where they were weaving, and they held in their hands the outfit folded up. Do you think the emperor saw anything? Not a thing. But he was sure not going to say something. And they said, we will get you dressed and let's have a big parade to show off your ensemble. And he said, yes, indeed. Look at those colors. Look at those patterns. And he stripped down to his undies and he put on this beautiful outfit that was not an outfit at all. And it even had a scarf that wrapped around, and they described that, oh, it hangs so lightly it will blow in the breeze. You will look magnificent. And the emperor said, wonderful. And he stood there, proud as if he was wearing this grand outfit. In reality, he was just in his underwear. And he stepped out into the city to lead a parade. And they had a big canopy over his head, and he walked along with his scepter in his underwear, and no one said a thing. Everyone just sort of clapped and cheered and looked at each other, smiling awkwardly because they thought to themselves, oh man, I must not be a very good character because all I see is a person in their underwear. Until a little child called out during a moment of quiet, he's in his underwear. And all of a sudden, one by one, everyone else snapped out of this silliness of believing that there was a magic fabric that they wouldn't be able to see. And one by one, they all started to giggle and then started to laugh until the whole crowd was laughing and calling out, he's in his underwear. But the emperor had set himself along this path, and he wasn't going to turn back now. And so he continued to walk, proud as can be, with his scepter in the air, down the street in his underwear. And that is the story of the emperor who had no clothes. And I now invite you to head down to RE and wonder about what it could mean.
This month, our January shared plate is with Planned Parenthood of Northern New England. Planned Parenthood is a leading provider and advocate of high-quality, affordable sexual and reproductive health care for all people, as well as a provider of sex education. Through health centers, programs in schools and communities, and online resources, Planned Parenthood is a trusted source of reliable education and information that allows people to make informed health decisions. Please give as you are able.
A few days ago, a colleague asked my other colleagues, what prayers or poems are holding you in this time? And another colleague shared this. It's by Jan Richardson, and it's called A Blessing for Traveling in the Dark. Let's gather our hearts and minds in a spirit of prayer or meditation. Go slow if you can. Slower. More slowly still. friendly dark or fearsome. This is no place to break your neck by rushing, by running, by crashing into what you cannot see. Then again, it is true, different darks have different tasks, and if you have arrived here unawares, if you have come in peril or in pain, this might be no place you should dawdle. I do not know what these shadows ask of you, what they might hold that means you good or ill. It is not for me to reckon whether you should linger or you should leave. But this is what I can ask for you, that in the darkness there be a blessing, that in the shadows there be a welcome, that in the night you be encompassed by the love that knows your name. As the music plays, you're invited into a time of candle lighting. You're welcome to come forward to light a candle for joy, or for a sorrow, or for a hope, or to remain in your seat and pray or meditate with the music. Whether you came forward or stayed seated, may we all feel ourselves held in this shared circle of care. The words from our invocation. When the world is sick, can't no one be well? But I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. That line has been in my bones all week because the world feels sick right now. Not only sick in the way it can feel after a tragedy, but sick in the way it feels when cruelty gets normalized, when truth is twisted, when people adjust their lives around a lie. I keep coming back to this question that some of you may be asking yourselves too. Why aren't more people protesting? And why are approval ratings not so much closer to zero? As one commentator put it, nearly every elite and powerful sector of our society, from major law firms and prestigious universities to tech companies, banks, and major media, has either lined up behind this president or capitulated to his threats and demands. It can feel like the emperor's new clothes, lived out large. Not only how can this be happening, but how can so many people act like it's somehow okay? I don't think it's just because people are foolish. I do think people get stuck. Sometimes when we look to the left and to the right and we see he's not speaking, she's not protesting, they're not objecting, it's part of human nature to then follow suit. Fawning behavior, fear-based behavior. We may not like it, but it is very human. If you've ever been in a group where something felt off and you still stayed quiet, you know how this works. Sometimes I think it's not even conscious. Most people aren't thinking, I'm choosing this lie. The thought may just be, I don't know what to do, or I don't want to be targeted. Sometimes a thing that's happening is so outrageous, so beyond what we thought could happen, the mind will just say that this can't be real. So instead, people adjust or accommodate, normalize, or keep the peace, like the teachers and administrators in Harper's school. And again, that is why those emperor's new clothes feels like it describes this time so pointedly. It's not just about one vain ruler, it's about a whole community pretending agreement when the cost of truth feels high. In the version of the story that Kirsten told, the turning point is not just when the child sees things clearly and says what they see, it's when the spell starts to break, when others say, yes, when eyes open, truth spreads, and from person to person, minds start to change until the whole thing actually shifts, a ripple effect. In a culture full of pressure and performance where job loss is real, we sometimes call this kind of truth-telling naive, but this story calls it powerful. And it starts with the voice of a clear-seeing one who's willing to stand up and stand out. Like in Minneapolis, At one point, I thought I was going. They'd issued a call to clergy late last week, come. In the wake of Martin Luther King Day, in the spirit of Selma, in the tradition of nonviolence, now is the time. I ended up not being able to go, but even the possibility that it might have been me brought it all home, focused my attention, as did a training I took when I thought I'd be going there. At that training, I don't remember if they named James Reeb, the UU clergy member killed when he went to Selma, but his name was on my mind when they suggested we write a letter to our loved ones. Tell them why you're going, so if something happens, someone knows, they said. We can't predict all risks, they told us. Stay in groups of 4 to 7. Don't ever go alone. Know each other's numbers, watch each other's backs. If someone gets arrested, call who needs to know and stay with them right up until the moment they're actually taken away. That was all before the shooting happened yesterday. But as I watched that hard news coverage, I recalled the tips about breath from that webinar. When you're anxious or scared, or if something bad happens, breathe. Conscious breathing regulates your body, they said. In for a count of 3, they had us do it together. Then out for a count of 4. It opens space inside pressure. Breathe in for a count of 3, out for a count of 4. It keeps you more grounded. In for 3, out for 4, so you can stay present. I remembered that lesson when I heard about the shooting. Alex Jeffrey Pretty, killed by agents in Minneapolis. Alex Jeffrey Pretty, you matter. Your life is important. The lies they are telling, we can see they are not true. Alex Jeffrey Pretty, may you rest in deep peace. It's good to keep breathing when hard things happen. It doesn't fix the situation, but it gives you some choice. It opens space inside pressure. And in that space, we can remember who we are. So I want to invite us to do that together now. Conscious breathing. If you're willing, let your feet feel the floor. If you want, soften your shoulders and breathe in slowly for a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, in for 3. 1, 2, 3. And out for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll do it one more time. In for 3. 1, count for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. When the world is sick, can't no one be well? And still, we breathe. We name what's real. We refuse to let fear make all our choices for us. We breathe. Some really hard things have happened in Minneapolis, and some really hopeful things have happened there too. I watched footage of clergy being arrested, and I was struck by the quality of their presence. By the quality of their presence as they were arrested. Not surrender, not submission, but steady, clear-eyed, open-hearted. Beautiful and strong. And I keep thinking that kind of courage doesn't come from nowhere. And one of my colleagues from Minneapolis said it this way: people there have been organizing for decades. They've been practicing. They've built relationships, coalitions, habits of showing up, habits of mutual aid, habits of resistance, habits of care. Practice matters. Which means Minneapolis is not only a site of pain right now, it is also, in a crucial way, a model. They are like the child in that story. Clear-eyed, not naive, willing to say what's true, willing to act, and in doing so, reminding the rest of us what's possible. This is also why a speech from Canada's Prime Minister spoke to me this week. He said, "The power of the powerless starts with honesty." He said, "There's a tendency in times like this to go along to get along, to accommodate, to avoid trouble, to hope compliance will buy safety." And he said, it won't. He said middle countries, countries without the power of giants, can build strength and coalitions. They can band together so they're not isolated, not easy to pick off one by one. And when he said middle countries, I thought about regular people, everyday people, people without formal power who still have moral agency, people who can stop pretending, tell the truth, find each other, band together, and build strength. Which brings me home, back to Portsmouth, back to Maine, because we have our own stories right here. We are in the mix now. Ice seen on the ground in Kittery and right here in Portsmouth. And yet, the stories I'm hearing give me hope. I read about a woman in Maine who blew a whistle when her neighbor was being apprehended. She was terrified. She wasn't trying to be a hero. She did it because she didn't want to be someone who didn't act. That too is the child in the story, not perfect, not fearless, but clear-eyed and willing. And I read about community members showing up when word spread that ICE was in a Portland neighborhood. People arrived, people witnessed, people made it harder for fear to do its work unseen. And yesterday at the Market Square protest, word spread that federal agents were downtown. People started checking on one another, showing up to witness, helping vulnerable staff get to safety. The agents left, but fear lingered, and so did the need not to be alone. This isn't about being a hero. It's about making choices in the moment. A choice to be with other people, to tell the truth, to be visible, to refuse the lie that we are powerless. Now, please keep in mind, I don't want to romanticize risk, and I don't want to expect courage from people who are already carrying more than you can, or from those whose bodies or identities leave you particularly vulnerable. I am not asking anyone to do what is unsafe or not good for you. But I do want to say what I think is spiritually true. Hope is not a feeling we wait for. Hope is built when we stop looking to the left or to the right for permission, and instead we start finding each other. Hope expands when we grow a web of connections strong enough to hold us all. Which is why even small acts of visible solidarity matter so much right now. Stickers in windows, signs that say immigrants are welcome here. Not because a sticker can stop a federal agency, it won't, but because growing visible solidarity changes social weather, breaks the spell of isolation, helps people find each other, keeps nudging us toward the tipping point, person by person, neighbor by neighbor, till something we thought was unchangeable actually starts to shift. And I want to bring this into the room we're in this congregation, because what we do here is not separate from what's happening out there. When we gather in worship, we practice not being alone. When we sing, we practice being human. When we tell the truth, we practice breaking the spell. And when we make decisions together, like we will be doing in a few moments after this service, when we make decisions together, even imperfectly, humanly, but together, we practice something that power over leadership does not want people to remember. That we can choose a different way. Not by dominating, scapegoating, or pretending, but by creating belonging, widening the circle, telling the truth, and acting on it. And so many of you are doing this already. But here's my invitation. This week, choose one courageous thing that fits your life. Maybe it's learning your rights and carrying a whistle. Maybe it's putting a sign in your window. Maybe it's showing up at a rally or vigil, or showing up at another one. Maybe it's having one honest conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's just taking one steadying breath before you speak so fear doesn't drive. Whatever you do, whenever you do it, remember the line we began with. When the world is sick, can't no one be well? But I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. May we keep practicing. May we keep choosing again and again and again. Amen. Let us join together in our closing hymn, When the World is Sick. Please rise in body or in spirit.
You can keep following me as we sing, but if harmonies or other things bubble up for you, please follow that as well. When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. But I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. But I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again.
Just a reminder that soon after the service, we'll be beginning the congregational meeting, so maybe a quick bathroom break and then come on back here for that. And also there's information in the back for those who want to take action or know what to do if you see something in your local community. There's some good handouts. I close with these words. May we be brave. May we be gentle. May we be clear-eyed. And may we be strong. And may we keep returning to the simple beauty of the breath and love of neighbor and greater truth. May it be so. Amen.
Never see
join us for a little other song while you're doing that.
No, I think Cathy goes, she was
All right, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. We are going to get the congregational meeting started momentarily. I know that we have a number of folks that have joined us online, so I will officially call the 2026 congregational meeting to order. I want to welcome you all. My name is Mark Eves, co-chair and incoming chair of the Board of Trustees, and it's been a pleasure to serve on the Board of Trustees over the last couple of years. The first order of business is to declare a quorum. I know that we have eyes on those that are joining online. A quorum is established by 10% of the voting membership being present. Would you please indicate by raising your hand if you are a voting member? 48 on mine? Okay, so only 2 people needed to show up. Great. To establish a quorum. So thank you all for being here. Seeing 10% of the voting members present, establish a quorum for the meeting. I'm going to call the Board of Trustees members up as we light the chalice. I think it's always good to be visible and know who your Board of Trustees members are. So if you all could come forward to help me get the meeting going. Thank you all. Matches are important. All right. We light this chalice as a symbol of our shared commitment to listening deeply to one another, to our values, and to the needs of our community. May this flame remind us that discernment is not a solitary act, but a collective one, shaped by trust, respect, and care. As we gather, we may seek wisdom together and move forward in community. Thank you all. And as he has been doing for, I think, close to 15 years now, John Shea is going to be our moderator for the meeting, and I'm going to hand things off to him. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mark. I have asked Brad Greeley to serve as our parliamentarian, and he has agreed. My role as your moderator is to help facilitate a productive, efficient, and respectful meeting. I am among those that will be getting a parking ticket at noon, so maybe that will be our collective goal, but we will make sure we do everything thoughtfully. Brad's role is to make sure we follow process. If there's any questions, we'll stop to get clarification, make sure we're in line with our bylaws, and we use the Sturgis Standard Code of Parliamentary Procedure, which is a simpler and less formal structure than Robert's Rules of Order. Please rise in body and or spirit and join me in reciting our mission statement, our vision statement, and if you're feeling particularly courageous, our covenant of right relations. All of them will be on the screen in front of us, and I think you've got the covenant of right relations at your seat, and it was in the board materials. Mission statement first. At South Church, we nurture spiritual growth through worship, learning, and community. We celebrate the worth and dignity of all people, and we inspire one another to act on our faith in the larger community. And our new vision statement, is that up, Jen? Our new vision statement. South Church is widely known as a vibrant spiritual home where people of all ages and abilities, beliefs, and identities seek meaning and purpose, inspiration, and comfort. Rooted in love, we carry forward a legacy of care for one another, our Seacoast community, and the earth we share. United in our ever-deepening practice of Unitarian Universalist values, we act with courage and serve with joy for a more just, compassionate, and thriving world. I will share with you the introduction to the Covenant of Right Relations, and then please feel free to join me in reciting it. A covenant of right relations is an expression of our collective values. It is a set of promises to one another about how we want to be in community together. Building community is an ongoing spiritual practice. Inviting the spirit of love and gratitude into our interactions, we each work to develop skills and promote practices that strengthen the bonds of relationship. We aspire to co-create a religious community of people with open hearts and open minds. I will lead us in reciting the Covenant of Right Relations. Please feel free to join in or read along. At South Church, we cultivate attentive listening, speaking with care, and compassionate honesty. We engage one another thoughtfully, recognizing that different thoughts and opinions are intrinsic to human beings. We are responsible for ourselves, and we speak from our own experience. We do not rely upon secondhand information. We trust in one another's good intentions and recognize that our actions have an impact regardless of intentions. When we hurt another or are hurt by another, we communicate our discomfort directly. We resolve conflicts through compromise and collaboration, and when necessary, request mediation through committee chairs, group facilitators, ministers, or others. Through these actions, we build trust and create a loving and safe community. Thank you, everyone. A few reminders. If you have a question or a comment, or you'd like to make a motion or to second a motion, if you're here in the sanctuary, please raise your hand. Please wait for Kirsten to come around with the microphone. Please use the microphone, especially for those online, so they can hear you. And please start with your name each time you speak, if you speak more than once. Those online, I will be checking in with Jen from time to time to make sure whether or not you've expressed something through the chat, that we make sure we take a second to make sure your questions and comments are heard. Everybody online and in the sanctuary, regardless of whether or not you're a member, is welcome to ask questions or to comment. I ask that everybody please aim to be concise, on topic, and respectful, something we're very good at as a church community. But only members can vote. We'll have several votes today. They'll all be simple majority. If there's 2 or 3 people on one Zoom account, you'll still be able to each vote if you are each members, and we'll do the dynamics of that together. Make sure you give your name and your yes or no as we get to each vote today. Jen, Kirsten, Mark, did I miss anything on just basic ground rules? Good, Brad? Our first order of business, which is agenda item number 4, is approval of the minutes from the January 2025 annual meeting a year ago, and from the short special meeting in November of 2025 to approve our vision statement. I'm looking for a motion to approve those minutes and a second. Charlotte. Second, Matt. Any comments, questions about either set of minutes? Nothing online, Jen? With no comments or questions, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say yes. Yes. Maybe a thumbs up or a show of hands are sufficient for the online group, Jen. Anyone opposed to accepting the minutes as presented, please say no. Nothing crazy's happened online, Jen. We can consider those done. Seeing no objections, we have both sets of minutes approved. And I will now invite Mark back up to give the Board of Trustees report. After Mark has given the report, there'll be times for questions and comments, and then we will need a second. We'll need a motion and a second simply to accept the report, not to approve the report, but simply to accept the report. Mark, thank you.
Thank you, John. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to offer a few remarks and reflections from the prior year. You can find a detailed report of the board's annual report in the congregational meeting material. It really, truly has been a pleasure to serve on the board during this inspiring chapter in the life of South Church. This has been a year marked by deep courage, imagination, and shared commitment to living our values and integrity with love. Being part of this vibrant community in this moment has been both grounding and uplifting. and I'm grateful for the trust you have placed in those called to steward this community alongside you. One of the most meaningful milestones of this year was the affirmation of our new vision statement. This was not simply a board exercise or a document to be filed away. It was a congregational-wide act of discernment. Through listening circles, workshops, and prayerful conversation, we named something true about ourselves: that South Church is and inspires to be a vibrant spiritual home where people of all ages, abilities, beliefs, and identities seek meaning, comfort, and inspiration. Rooted in love, united in Unitarian Universalist values, and committed to justice, this vision now serves as our compass. It reminds us why we gather and how we are called to act. That sense of shared calling was especially evident in this year's annual budget campaign, rebranded as Mission United, where money and ministry meet. It was more than a slogan, it was a spiritual reframing of stewardship. We shifted away from transactions and towards relationships, away from obligation and toward meaning. Through one-on-one conversations, shared meal, honest reflection, we remembered that giving is not just about sustaining an institution, but about nurturing a living ministry. The result was extraordinary. Pledges that surpassed prior years, and most importantly, allowed us to fully fund staff salaries, an aspiration long held by this congregation. This was generosity rooted in trust, alignment, and love. And I want to thank all of you, and especially the Mission United team, for navigating us through an inspiring and collaborative process. Thank you. This year also held moments of renewal and joy. Kirsten's sabbatical offered a faithful reminder of rest, reflection, and shared leadership. Her return, marked by intentional re-entry and community reflection, reminded us that caring for our leaders is part of caring for the whole body. Reverend Ellen, all the staff, and many of you stepped up in ways that truly reflected an exceptional shared ministry model. In addition, our historic window restoration moved forward, supported by generous funding and renewed energy as we look towards the 200th anniversary of this building. The Pocket Garden Tour and the auction not only raised significant funds, but welcomed new faces and celebrated creativity and abundance. Even our gatherings, like the music-filled, chilly-warmed New Year's Eve, reminded us that celebration itself is sacred work. And at the heart of all of this, as always, are our people. We offer deep gratitude to our extraordinary staff, whose dedication, wisdom, and compassion animate this church every day. To our volunteers, whose quiet faithfulness sustains ministries seen and unseen. To our board members, those completing their terms and those stepping into new ones, thank you for your courage, your leadership, and your care. Governance, too, is a ministry. We're all blessed by your service. And now, as we look ahead in the coming year, as I mentioned, we celebrate 200 years of this building standing as a witness to faith, resilience, and community. We will take this opportunity throughout this year to celebrate, reflect, plan, and steward this place to ensure another 200 years. But more than bricks and mortar, we celebrate the enduring spirit. South Church has always been more than its walls. It's a living promise, renewed in every generation, that love is stronger than fear, that justice is worth striving for, and that community can be a source of hope, healing, and joy. May we carry forward the lessons of this year with humility and confidence. May we continue to practice faithful stewardship, deepen our spiritual lives, and widen our circles of care. And may we walk into the future together with courage, joy, and trust in the transforming power of love. Thank you. Back to John.
Any questions or comments for Mark? I'll get out of the way and Kirsten will bring the mic around, or if anybody online has any questions or comments.
Thank you.
Jen, we good? All good? Can I have a motion and a second to accept the trustees' report for this year, please? We have a motion. We have a second. Charlotte, are you doing okay on names? I should have noted that Charlotte's taken the minutes. Stephen Howard. All those in favor of accepting the board report as given, please state yes. Yes. Any opposed, please state no. Any abstentions? And I'll give folks online a chance to catch up. All good. Thank you, Mark. I'm going to invite up Lori Bilby for the next 3 agenda items. We're going to get the treasurer's report for this year, which will then require a vote to accept it. We're then going to get the annual budget proposal for next year, which will require a vote to approve it. And then we also have a specific approval request for window expenditures. So I'll turn it over to Lori first, our treasurer, for the 2025 treasurer's report. Thank you, Lori.
Thanks, John. 2025 operating budget, I will say this was a very good year to be your treasurer. We thought we were starting out, as you may recall from last year's annual meeting, with a deficit budget of about between $40,000 and $50,000. I am delighted to report that due to your excellent fulfillment of your 2025 pledges, a robust early payment of 2026 pledges, increased funding efforts by the Board of Trustees. The auction raised over $23,000 in November. Another very successful pocket garden tour at over $22,000. Increased revenue from building usage, and the diligence of our staff in really working hard to keep expenses as low as possible. We have closed 2025 with a surplus. We have reduced our outstanding capital improvement loan that we took out when we had the roof done. It was about $140,000 initially. We're down to $66,000, so thank you for those Fifth Sunday offerings and the matching grants. During the pandemic, we continued to pay our staff, and the IRS deemed that businesses who did that were often eligible for a refund of the payroll taxes that were paid during that time. We filed a claim for these amounts in 2023, and in 2025, we received payment from the IRS for every single quarter that we applied for, which is great news and really bolsters our reserves. Some of those funds will not be available to us for a number of years yet because the IRS reserves the right to audit and take them back if they deem that we were ineligible, but it's good to have the money sitting in the bank. They are in laddered certificates of deposit, which are gaining us some additional interest, and we're not waiting for them anymore. Finance Council is meeting, and it's a robust interchange of, it's a roundtable for everyone involved in fundraising and finance in any way at South Church. It is another area where money and ministry meet. Our budget, as you'll see in 2026, it looks really good. I'll get to that in a minute. We're not quite where we want to be, but we're almost there. And that's awesome. Our endowment remains in good shape. It's at about $1 million. It's not one of the robust and thriving parts of our financial life, but it's stable. So we'll look at that. Maybe we'll look at that as one of our next challenges and opportunities. So our income from all sources is steady, thanks to our generous members and friends and our hardworking board and fundraising volunteers. And I look forward to continuing to work with you in the months ahead as we ensure that South Church remains fiscally stable so that we may abundantly live into our vision, our mission, and our UU values. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Questions or comments for Lori or the board on the 2025 budget report?
Jim?
Jim Verschuren, just a quick question, Lori. As one who pays his pledge in advance, I wonder how that helps the past year's budget.
It's an accounting mechanism. Actually, we are a cash basis taxpayer, so anything that comes in 2025 counts as 2025 income on our books.
So does that mean it's not going to count in 2026?
It counts as your pledge for 2026, and it counts as 2026 pledges, but in terms of cash on hand, it's in our bank now.
Anybody else in the sanctuary? Anybody else online? Jen? Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Jim, for the question. I'll need a motion to accept the treasurer's report for 2025 and a second, please.
Alice O'Trainer and Deanna Strand.
And a second, please. In the back. Is that
Deanna
Strand.
Strand.
All those in favor of accepting the treasurer's report as just given, please say yes. Any opposed? Please say no. Any abstentions? We'll let the folks online catch up. Thanks, Jen. Treasurer's report is accepted. No, sorry. And Lori will now take us to agenda item number 7, which is the 2026 annual budget proposal. So this will require a vote to approve. After Lori's laid it out for us, there'll be time for questions and comments. And then when we're ready, we'll vote. Thanks, Lori.
Thank you to the amazing work of the Mission United team and your incredibly generous and open-hearted response to the changes to this year's annual stewardship campaign. Doing the budget for 2026 was a real joy. We did not set a target for the number of pledges we would like to have received. Last year, the 2025 actual pledges, you'll see in the budget materials, were $453,000 plus the $138,000 that was paid in advance. This year, $660,000 was raised that we have never seen. That's about $100,000 more than we got last year, so thank you. And that does, as Mark alluded in his notes, allow us to fully fund our staff salaries at the full recommended UUA guidelines, and we're just delighted to do that. Our total revenue anticipated for this year is, from all sources, is $862,000. We're getting close to that $1 million budget we're going to have before too long. Our total staff expenses, keeping in mind the increase to salaries to full fair compensation, and a 19.5% increase in healthcare costs. Who doesn't have a 19.5% increase in their health costs this year? Raises total staff expenses of $665,000 out of that $862,000 budget. Most of our administrative expenses, we are holding the line on to the best of our ability, along with our other programming. There have been some slight increases, including to our building maintenance budget, which simply has to go up. We have 2 historic properties. We're responsible for them. We're going to take care of them, and we have the funds to do that. The only thing in the 2026 proposed budget that the board approved that is not completely funded is our UUA dues, the annual amount, the annual apportionment that the UUA thinks that a congregation of our size and location should be paying into the denomination to support its good and purposeful work. But we're giving them more than we gave them last year. And I think, to the extent we see any overages in this year's budget, if that happens, that we as a board are pretty committed to increasing the amount that we pay into that before we look at spending the money in other places, barring emergencies like boilers and things. So total revenue anticipated for 2026, $862,000. Total expenses, $881,000. That's not balanced. It's about $20,000 short. But given the employee retention credits and our really healthy reserves in the bank, we decided we would just go ahead and bite the bullet and do the salaries and feel good about it and know that we will be okay, because we are in one of the strongest financial positions this church has ever seen, I believe. I don't go back 200 years. But that's the budget. Happy to take questions if you have them.
Can I also ask too, since this is a vote of approval, if we could have a motion to formally put it on the table in a second, and then we'll discuss and have questions before moving to a vote. Would it be possible to get a motion to accept the budget as proposed, Charlotte? And Matt's a second. We'll then discuss. Thank you. Go ahead, Kirsten.
This is fabulous work. Thank you. I'm Susan Dewhurst. I have a question about if we're tracking for revenue. Do we know if the $1 million mark triggers an external audit, and are we preparing for that in anticipation of needing to fund that work?
It's a good question for our accountants. We do have our books reviewed every year, which is expensive. And if there's a increased standard of audit that's necessary, if we hit that $1 million mark, we'll have, Bridget and I will look into that this year, since it's, just in case we hit it next year. We'll look at that. It's a good idea, Susan.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to look a few years out to make sure you're budgeting and preparing the staff for what needs to be provided, because it can be a time suck.
And expensive.
Anybody online, Jen?
I'll just add, while we're waiting to see if anyone online, Janet Pulaski, who's writing a book right now about our congregation, can confirm it is the strongest financial position in the last 200 years.
Thank you for that. I think we're good all around. We already have a motion and a second. I'll ask for a show of hands here. We'll do a count only if necessary. We need a simple majority. We'll do that as a next step if it's close. But all those in favor of approving the budget for 2026 as presented, please raise your hand. You can say yes too if you'd like. Anybody opposed to the budget proposal? Any abstentions to the budget proposal? So there's no no's and no abstentions, Charlotte. And then we'll let Jen catch up with the folks voting online. Yep, take a minute.
Sixteen yeses, no no's, no abstentions.
We can declare it passed with a majority between the online votes and present as well. Majority, and the 2026 annual budget is passed. The last piece of business that Lori has is asking for congregational approval for window expenditures. I'll turn this over to Lori, and this one too will require a motion and a second to discuss, and then a vote to approve. Thanks, Lori.
Right, so last thing in the finance department for the coming year for now. As you know, we did have the 2 windows out in the narthex restored last year. We had some funds set aside for that, so that was good. It was also good that we had some funds set aside for that, because they ended up costing a bit more than we thought they were going to, a bit more than the restorer thought they were going to, because they're in worse shape than we knew once they got them out. We would like to continue this project. They need to be done. And so the proposal for this year is to do 2 more windows by Clary & Son down in Massachusetts. That would cost us approximately $131,000. They would be these 2 windows, and then after that we can get to the ones we could actually see out of and open and close in coming years, hopefully. We did apply last fall for a grant from LCHIP, and they were kind enough to award us $100,000 for this restoration project. That's a matching grant, so we need to raise some funds to do that, or borrow some funds to do that, or give people an opportunity to celebrate the 200th anniversary of this building, both within and without the community, to help support the restoration project. The board is still working out the details of that, but we're delighted that we have a lot of options as to how we're going to pay for these going forward this year and next year, and we'll reapply for LCHIP as well, because the cost is going up. So there's a reasonable chance that they would like to give us some more money for this as well, for this particular project on this particular building. So anyway, the board would like to have your approval to spend up to $135,000 for the restoration of the next 2 windows over the course of 2026.
Thank you, Lori. If we could start with a motion, we would need a motion to give the board approval to spend up to $135,000 to do the next 2 windows in this current calendar year. Do I have a motion along those lines?
Rebecca Blake, motion, and a second by Janice Wolak.
Thank you. Discussion, questions?
How old are the windows?
Alyssa, how old are the windows?
200
They're
years.
really old.
I have a crazy question, Di Irwin. Tell me about the practicality. They're all beautiful, but is it less drafty, and do they hold any better insulation for us?
They do not hold any better insulation for us because we are restoring historically, is appropriate for this building. But there's less chance of them falling out. There's less chance of leakage. The sills are rotting. The banding that holds them together is deteriorating, and they don't open and close, and they're supposed to. They used to. So for environmental purposes, meaning our internal enjoyment of air moving in here in the summertime and things like that, that will definitely be a benefit. And they won't be cloudy. You can see a lot of the panes are pretty clouded over.
Any other comments? Yep.
Jim Verschern again. So is it $135,000 per window?
2 windows.
So we have to match $135,000?
We don't. We have to match the $100,000 that LCHIP gave us.
Right.
And still to be determined, because we're talking to them. They just announced the award in December. The money that we paid for the last 2 windows should count as part of that match.
Okay.
So we probably only have to raise another $30,000 or so to free up the $100,000.
Okay.
But we don't know how they're going to pay it out, because we don't know if they think it's $100,000 means 20,000 per set of windows, or it's just the payout is.
So my math head is not working very well, but if the total cost is $135,000 and they're giving us $100,000 and we have to match the $100,000, doesn't that give us $200,000 already?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
And we have 3 more sets of windows
so
to
we
do
would
after
have
this.
some. If we do that, if we match the $100,000 fully with new cash, that cash will much of that would go toward the next set of windows.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Thank you, Jim. Questions, comments in the sanctuary? Jen, anybody online? We already have a motion and a second to give the Board of Trustees the authority to spend up to $135,000 in the coming year to tackle 2 more windows, with the information that if we get the full match, that sets us up for additional windows down the road. Prepared to vote? All those in favor of supporting this motion, please raise your hand and say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Please raise your hand. There's no no's, Charlotte. Any abstentions? None. Probably won't need to do a count. We'll give the online folks a chance to catch up. And we're good online, so it passes with a simple majority. Thank you very much, Lori, for all three matters. Much appreciated. Brian Murphy's going to come up next from the nominating committee. We're going to do Board of Trustees nominations first. After Brian has given us the Board of Trustee nominations, I'll need a motion and a second and a vote to close nominations, then a motion and a second and a vote to accept the nominations, and then we'll do the whole thing again with the nominating committee members. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, John. Good morning, everybody. The current nominating committee here is Andrew McGeorge, Cathy DiPentima, Megan Harris, Chris Redmond, and me, Brian Murphy. And as you probably know, but just to say, our work is specifically to find and invite candidates to become board members. We do the same work for our own committee, and that's it. And then, of course, bring those nominations to you to vote on. So toward that, well, before, I know we're trying to keep a tight meeting so that John doesn't get a parking ticket, but I just want to say, you don't have to wait for us to come and ask you. If you're interested in doing this work, please find one of the people on the nominating committee and let us know. We would appreciate that, and we'd love to talk. So today I bring to you 3 nominations for the board and 2 nominations for the nominating committee. Before we get to those, I'd just like to give a special and sincere thanks to members going off of the nominating committee, and that it would be Cathy DiPentima and Andrew McGeorge, and then members going off of the Board of Trustees, who are Charlotte Ramsey and Stacy Brown. And on behalf of the whole congregation, thank you so much for your service. So then, to nominate to the Board of Trustees, we have Mark Eves will be renewing as a second term for 2 years. And then we have 2 new members coming on, and that's Anna Howard and Andrew McGeorge. And I'd just like to make a note about Andrew McGeorge. You've heard his name a couple of times. And we want to be clear that we didn't let Andrew vote on this, and we didn't give him a choice. We said, you're going to do it. No, you know, for transparency, Andrew recused himself from the vote for this nomination. But the remaining members on the nominating committee wholeheartedly endorsed this nomination. And then, in addition to that, we have 2 new members for the nominating committee, one being Jesse Lohr, and then the other being Martha Cunningham. And one side note about Martha, I forgot to ask her for a bio to put into the annual report. So if anybody doesn't know Martha, please go get to know Martha, because she's a gem. And she's going to be great on the nominating committee, and we'll have a bio for her as soon as possible for the record. And that's it.
Thank you, Brian. So we're going to need to make sure, just to confirm, Board of Trustees, it's Anna Howard, Andrew McGeorge, and Mark Eves, correct?
That's correct.
And we need any comments or questions, and then if there are none, we'll give you a second or two for that, or a minute or two for that. And then we'll need a motion and a second and a vote to close nominations before voting specifically on the Board of Trustees. Any comments, questions, or additional nominations technically are allowed? Throw a wrench in everything.
Just one correction on the term. It's a 3-year term for the board, I believe. 3 years, not 2. Is that right? Yeah.
Sorry, I said 2. It is 3.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
Could the nominees for Board of Trustees specifically, if you're present, please stand up.
Anna.
Anna, Andrew, and Mark.
No, Andrew. Mark's here.
Any comments or questions online, Jen? No additional nomination. May I have a motion to close the nominations as presented?
Stephen Howard, motion.
Thank you, Kirsten.
Second from Kate too.
All those in favor of closing nominations, please state yes. Any opposed to closing nominations? Anything crazy happening online? No revolt. I think we're probably good. May I have a motion to accept the nominations for board, Anna, Andrew, and Mark as presented? And a second?
Tim Bryant was the motion, Matt Madeira is the second.
All those in favor of accepting the nominees for Board of Trustees, please state yes. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Good online. Nominating committee nominations are Brian Murphy, Chris Redmond, and Jess Lohr. Is that correct?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't present that properly.
No, that's okay.
We do have, to clarify, we do have 2 renewing members, that being Chris Redmond and myself, Brian Murphy, and then 2 incoming new members. One is Martha Cunningham, and the other is Jessie Lohr.
I'm sorry
about that.
I missed Martha, so it's Martha, Jess, Chris, and Brian, 4 nominations. Any additional nominations, comments, or questions about the 4 nominees for the nominating committee? Good online, Jen. May I have a motion to close nominations for the nominating committee?
Motion from Valerie Fagan.
And a second, please.
From Molly Campbell.
All in favor of closing nominations for the nominating committee, please state yes. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Online's probably having a tough time keeping up with this. Oh yeah. They're gonna stir things up just so we remember that they're there. May I have a motion to accept the nominations for the nominating committee, please?
Motion from Alice O'Trainer.
And a second?
Second from Anna Howard.
All those in favor of accepting these nominations, please state yes. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Clear majority in the sanctuary and a clear majority online. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Brian. I'm going to turn it over to Mark as we get close to wrapping up with thank yous and recognitions. Mark.
Great, excellent. Thank you, John, and thank you, everyone. I think we will get out here shortly. I'm going to run through my remarks, but first just want to offer particular gratitude to the many associate groups, including the shared ministry team, which include the pastoral associates, worship associates, fellowship associates, social justice associates, and learning associates who bring care, creativity, and spiritual depth to every corner of our congregational life. Thank you. Thank you as well to all the religious education volunteers supporting children and families, and small group conveners who host book groups and breakfasts and so much more, the Committee on Ministry, the Property Committee, the Planning Implementation Committee, the Finance Council and Endowment Team, Mission United team, and the dedicated volunteers of the Pocket Garden Tour and Auction. There is a lot of groups and a lot of activity here, and we all do it together and make it work. I want to thank all of you. I also want to take a moment to recognize those whose leadership has guided us with the steadiness and heart. You have heard about Charlotte Ramsey ending her term, Stacy Brown also. I want to thank them for their board leadership. Your contributions have mattered, and they will continue to shape South Church in lasting ways. If I could get just a really big round of applause for those 2 members. And finally, I want to offer deep gratitude to Molly Campbell, who has led us over the last 2 years as our board chair. She's led with vision, compassion, humor, which is my favorite part, and inspiration. She's back there getting embarrassed. Her leadership has helped carry this congregation through meaningful growth and important transition. We are incredibly fortunate that she will continue to serve on the Board of Trustees with us, and we are better for her ongoing presence among us. Thank you, Molly. And then finally, to all of you who give your time, energy, your creativity, and your love This is a special place that we have here together, and thank you for sticking with us. I think we are very close to that parking ban. As we close out, I'm going to have Reverend Allen come up, help extinguish the chalice, and as she does, just a very, very quick reminder to current Board of Trustees to meet down here in front at the conclusion of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I do need to double check to see if there's any new business. Anybody that would like to propose any new business in the sanctuary or on, I think online's been, where did online disappear? Yes, it did. Seeing that there is no new business, I will need, and don't get up and go because the last thing will be Reverend Ellen and the extinguishing of the chalice. I do need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion by Rebecca Blake, second by Kate Toot.
Second is, so all those in favor of adjourning, please vote yes. Anyone opposed to adjourning, please say no. Probably no abstentions. I'm going to trust that we're good online too. And I will now turn it over to Reverend Ellen. I just want to say one quick thing too, personally, not as your moderator, that in this particularly difficult time, how special it is to be a part of this community. Even when you're not here, you feel it. And I have 3 daughters that grew up in this church, one who is in Portland, one who is in Chicago, and one who recently returned home with a passion for immigration rights. And she's found her way back to the church, which has been really special. But thank you all, because it means a lot, even sometimes just to sit in the back for half an hour, showing up late for service. It's a very special thing, and I'm just among those who does not take it for granted. So thank you all, and I'm going to turn it over to Reverend Ellen before we actually leave. Thank you all.
Today's meeting reflects thoughtful stewardship, shared responsibility, and care for this community's future. You're tending what has been entrusted to you and strengthening the conditions for what comes next. May we leave grounded in gratitude, confident in our direction, and trusting the collective wisdom, 200 plus years of it, that brought us to this moment. May it be so. Amen. As we extinguish our chalice.
Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.
Rest assured, folks, the parking ban downtown doesn't start till later. It's the outer edge that it starts first.